Most people get so unbelievably swept up and caught up in the holiday spending shame cycle. And what we are going to do in this episode is really unpack that and why, and give you some tools to navigate for next year.
Your nervous system, yes, it speaks way before you do on all money matters. In this episode, do not miss what we're going to say.
Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers, and happy 2026. By the time you are listening to this, this is the first Monday of 2026, and we are hopefully at this point off to a great start. So Bianca and I, in good money fashion, are both wearing green. So if you're watching this on YouTube, pop a green heart down in the comments section. We are so excited to have a hot tempo episode on what the holidays reveals around your relationship with money. And now we're, again, kind of in the aftermath of the holiday season. And what we do know is that, statistically speaking, January is a really, really low month for a lot of people when it comes to mental health. One of the biggest reasons why is because we all intellectually know this, but I think it bears repeating. We are overspending and overconsuming at a rate far more than we can pay our bills for. I cannot tell you how many people I've had conversations around money in the last 3 months and how that's directly impacted their nervous system. Not having enough money to, quote unquote, spend on gifts, or get in between that pinch on, should we make sure that we are paying our bills, or we're doing the Secret Santa, or just all of the narratives that happen to come up around the holidays. Your nervous system speaks for you. So the other night, Alan and I actually, Bianca, I'm telling you this story. Alan and I were walking around our neighborhood. We had gotten done with work. We do walks, in between the gym for anyone that's a new listener. And Alan's my partner, and he and I are bundled up because at the time it was Christmas Eve. So he and I are walking around our neighborhood for an hour. Christmas Eve, it was quite chilly. And we just so happened to be in a neighborhood that is really beautiful, and we're extremely fortunate in that. And so what we noticed was that everyone, quote unquote, all the different houses were the quote unquote party houses. So everyone in our neighborhood, it quite literally was interesting to see all cars. So you could tell relatives, people had come from all over to this neighborhood, and each household had many, many, many cars. So we're on our walk, and we're kind of looking around, and it was really interesting to see what normally is a very calm neighborhood be so chaotic. And I was talking to Alan, Bianca, and I was saying, it's really interesting how to see the neighborhood come so alive, and you could sense the frenetic energy of the neighborhood. People were coming in, flying around. People were just like in this really like tense state. And now we walk our neighborhood all the time, so we very much have a pulse on that. And when we started to kind of like pick this apart, and we had seen into a couple of windows just like naturally like walking around, and some people were like at the window and having a good old time, and I love that for them. But you could see the tenseness in people's bodies. You could see the discomfort. You could see the kind of fights that were happening. And this was Christmas Eve. So I thought it was a really interesting place to kind of peer into the window of what the holidays really reveal about our relationship with money, because of the fact that in some of the situations, there was exchanging of gifts. There was just palatial consumption around lights and Christmas stuff. And while that's all happy and go merry, there's a lot of consumption and the chaos that comes with that. What I really saw behind the scenes is that the pulse that I have conversations with behind the scenes with clients, and I know you do too, Bianca. Mm-hmm. Our nervous system around the time of holidays, as we start to get into September, right? There's holiday decorations from Halloween to then Hanukkah to then Christmas to then all these different holidays. And the consumerism markets, the markets at large are kind of creating the conditions to sync our nervous system up with this rate of like, oh my gosh, there's deals. We got to go take care of these deals. And it starts having this tremendous effect on our nervous system if we're not mindful about it. And so I think, at this state, I think it's fair to come to a rather staunch conclusion about how much the holidays actually do reveal about our nervous system. So if I were to throw up on screen just this dollar bill, y'all, right? Everyone on YouTube, we got a dollar bill, right? If I were to put this up, I would ask you, what does this mean to you? What value does this dollar bill have to you? Now, everyone's seeing this on screen, or if you could imagine a $1 bill, you're each going to have a different reaction to it. Now I'm going to hold up a $5 bill. What does this mean to you? What value does this $5 bill have to you? And I was going to go rank my areas for some bigger bills, but I didn't have time this morning to do that. But ultimately, why I do that is because likely you have narratives that are coming up around that monetary value that money has. And why I share that is because we all inherit beliefs around money. We all inherit these narratives about our ability to receive, to generate, to navigate money in a way that is either extremely avoidant or extremely aware and kind of free of, right? Does money equal freedom to you, or is money evil? Are the holidays something that you resent because you feel like you have to overspend in order to keep up with your family, with your social groups, etc., right? You have to get the outfits, you have to do this, like all of that. What does that reveal about your relationship with money? What I've seen over time is that it reveals that we all have extreme money wounds. A large majority of people, very, very few have I ever seen be kind of on the sidelines of this. But in one way, one shape or another, the holiday season reveals exactly what relationship we do have with money, with finances, with wealth, with our jobs, with our career, and this deep, deep root of a sense of worthiness, a sense of enoughness, a sense of capability, a sense of strength, a sense of weakness, a sense of so much of what our identity is wrapped around. And so I always look at the holidays as an opportunity to reevaluate where my relationship with money is, where my relationship with wealth, with finances, with how I receive money, with how I move money. And I wish more people started to kind of think like that. So I'll kind of use just myself as an example, just to give a little bit of contrast, because Bianca, you had mentioned that. I think that would be helpful for people. So
yeah, please.
I grew up in an entrepreneurial household. So I grew up with a belief around money that money needs to work for you. But I also grew up in a household that inherited beliefs that you have to stretch every single dollar. Now, that was inherited by my grandparents who went through my grandparents' grandparents who went through the Great Depression and who had a really big, drastic impact on their finances. And so I grew up with money needs to work for you, but also when you go to restaurants and there's free sugar packs or there's free butter, grab those because you never know when you'll need those. So it was such an interesting experience that I grew up with, because those narratives that I inherited was like, okay, be frugal and be mindful about how you spend your money, be mindful of how you make money, have good work ethic, right? Like it created this whole kind of motto around money, which was, for me, I interpreted that as money is the devil. Money is evil because it takes people away from their families. And I had mentioned this in previous podcast episodes, like way back, but I had to learn how to navigate my relationship with money as an entrepreneur myself, because at the end of the day, if you're just never charging anything for your services, you're going to go out of business. And so the relationship with money, I had to take a very hard look, especially during the holiday seasons, because what I felt over time was I'm happy to give away presents. I'm happy to get people things that make them feel good about themselves. What I'm not happy about and what I don't really love is the consumption and this forced hand around frivolous things and giving gifts to people, which is essentially a representation of how little you've gotten to know them over the year. And so the holiday seasons invited me into this toggle between, is money evil, or is money like water, which is the mindset that I have now. Money is like water. And that mindset over time is me reflecting upon the money wounds that I had, the money wounds that I had inherited, the beliefs around a woman and money, which is a whole nother conversation we won't get into today. But money is water is now the mindset that I live in, which essentially means if it's not moving and if it's not flowing, it's going to dry up. It's going to get siphoned away. And I now have that with that mindset of macro and microeconomics that I understand, right? If I'm just hoarding finances just to feel safe in my nervous system because it's a number on the screen, that doesn't really do anything. I can't necessarily hire another team member or invest in our Evolve journals, which will be coming out. Like, I need to make sure that finance is capital. It's a currency. There needs to be a current to it. So for all of us, right, Bianca, I'm curious to hear what you want to add to this. I think at the end of the day, the biggest question that anyone could ask from this episode, what the holidays reveals about your relationship with money, first is, what emotion comes up as I just flashed that capital on the screen? What emotion came up? Was it excitement? Was it eagerness? Or was it shame? Was it fear? What emotion was bound with money? Because that is a great starting point to help reveal what your relationship with money is.
I think there's a lot coming up for me. I mean, this time of year can be so beautiful in so many ways, but it also brings out the absolute worst in human behavior. It brings out the worst in the ideas and the beliefs that humans have about what it really means to connect, what it means to be alive, what it means to love people. And this time of year, it's equated with a dollar sign.
Yeah.
How much did we spend on gifts? How much did we spend on food? Who has the best decorations? It lost its essence. It lost its meaning. And you and I opted out. I mean, this is the first year that I've completely opted out of the holidays. I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't spend it with anybody. And that was a very intentional, proactive choice based on my current awareness and beliefs about myself, others, and the world. And it was a difficult decision, but it was one of the most empowered decisions I've ever made, because I don't want relationships that are built on nonsense. I want relationships that are built on deep meaning. And spending $400, $500, $600 on Christmas gifts is not meaningful. If you don't see your family all year, and I'm not referencing myself, this is an experience so many people have, and you kind of just alluded to this too.
Yeah.
So you don't have a relationship with your family. You don't talk to your family. You don't see your family. You only see them on special occasions and events. But yet all of a sudden now it's Christmas and you just have to spend money on them. You have to go to this event for this person you don't even like, and you're just expected to go. What this time of year reveals about your relationship with money: we spend way too easily, we don't invest in ourselves, and we don't prioritize our own well-being. Like, this time of year, our like all therapy practices, people don't show up this month. The cancellation rates
fascinating.
The cancellation rates are insane. The no-show rates are insane. Why? Because people can't afford it, because they're putting that money elsewhere, or they're prioritizing going and spending time with people, places, and in situations that make them miserable. But they have to prioritize that over the therapy and coaching, which is the thing that's actually making their life better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so sad. Most people's relationships are built on these false ideas. And this time of year, that is money. oh, I'm a good sister because I spent $400 on each sibling and each parent. Or, oh my God, now we're going to have to not get groceries for the next couple of months and not turn the heat on to past a certain level because we're not going to be able to afford it because we overspent. It's so destructive. Instead of everyone in the family coming together and saying, hey, do any of us actually like this? Like, I bought you a gift card, you bought me a gift card. Why did we spend the money? It's just a waste of money. Why don't we come together and do something actually meaningful? But nobody wants to be the one to break the status quo. And so as we start to wrap up, think about the way that you spend or invest your money. And if you look at this time of year, does it make you feel good about yourself and empowered and like you are getting closer to the person that you want to be? Or did it feel like an absolute drain and like you worked so hard all year to get your savings to a certain amount and you felt obligated to blow it because there was this narrative of what it meant to be a family, what it means to be around the holidays, what insert descriptor is here. Emilia and I opted out, and yes, it was challenging, but this was the best Christmas I've had in a long time because I didn't feel pressured to buy gifts that I didn't even know what to get for people that I'm not even close to. So it's like, I did what was aligned. It was harder, but I'll look back on it and I'll be so proud of myself. I'm looking back on it now and I'm so proud of myself. And it was yesterday when we're recording this, it's the 26th. So as we start to wrap up, really think about who is the person that I sincerely want to be? What is the relationship that I want to have with myself, with others, and with my finances? Is it all serving me? Or am I experiencing this cognitive dissonance of I want to be this way, but I keep engaging in this pattern and in this habit, whether it's money, whether it's food, whether it's spending, whether it's exercise, whether it's relationships, it doesn't matter. They all follow cycles and patterns. And most of us are using these cycles, habits, and patterns as a way to cope with the negative feelings that we have. So help yourself this year and utilize what we talked about in the last episode of make time to actually orient toward who you are, where you are, what you're currently doing, and take a few steps to do it better.
Yeah. Do it better. That's the invitation. I want to bring some stats as we close. I was just looking up the cancellation rate because I knew it was around 35%. So in therapy and coaching in particular, it's as high as a 42+% on cancellations, which from my perspective, what that really looks like is what normally helps your nervous system feel grounded and anchored. If you're that person who has canceled or rescheduled or whatnot, that is a direct indicator of how your nervous system has been hijacked to this quote unquote consumerism, if you will. And that consumerism, when we actually look at how much money are people on average usually spending in addition in this area, it ranges in the US between $900 and $2,800 per person, which accumulates to per person. Yep.
Jesus.
Wild, which really reflects a insane figure, which is the total consumer debt in the United States, which is 17.7 trillion. Let me break that down to what the average American overspent and then went into debt accumulation come January. It was 1,223. That's directly linked to a bigger nervous system issue from my perspective in Americans. And now I know different cultures have a very different data point linked with them. But what that tells me, if we look at that, the overspending, there's a nervous system issue there. There's a dysregulation when it comes to consumption. There's a dysregulation away from what the holidays mean. And ultimately, to what you said, Bianca, it's lost its essence. And we are single-handedly contributing to that if we're not taking this episode into account and being very mindful about what our relationship is to money and how it might change or get hijacked or get into dysregulation around the holidays. So if you're listening to this episode and you've realized like, holy crap, I'm in that quote unquote metric, I'm a part of that challenge where I'm struggling to catch up, there's this huge dysregulation challenge that your nervous system is trying to signal to you that it would behoove you to try to go get some help with, because at the end of the day, that's a pattern that's going to continue to repeat itself. So Bianca and I have to jump to an IG live that we're going to do right now. But in closing, my episode suggestion is 459, what your family system role says about you. Bianca?
458, how to connect to your true self. If this is something that you want help with, if you are sick and tired of feeling trapped by money and the patterns that you've had to consistently engage in, send us a message, reach out. Emilia is actively taking clients. I've never met someone who is better with money and who can teach you how to have a better relationship with your money. So send us a DM. We will get you started, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.